Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. So before we enter into the study of the Isha Upanishad, first today let us start with the meaning of the word Upanishad. So what the word Upanishad means. So the word Upanishad, we will find it has been explained by Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya in his introductory note in Katha Upanishad, that what this word Upanishad means. So we will extract our discussion from that commentary, from the essence of that commentary, and try to understand the meaning of the word Upanishad. Now the word Upanishad, it actually has a verbal root, a verb. The verbal root is sat. Sad means to destroy or to loosen. So here it has been used with the intention to explain that it's a knowledge which is there to destroy the ignorance. That we are in ignorance. In the spiritual sense, we are bound in ignorance, to destroy that ignorance. And if not total destruction, at least loosen its bond. In our process of spiritual journey, gradually we loosen the bond, the knot which has been as if tied around our real nature in the form of ignorance, that we loosen that bond. So that sad dhatu means that. So now the sad dhatu, the verbal root, is preceded by two prefixes. One is upa and another is the ni. They are the two prefixes. Now this prefix has been used for certain specific meaning. What this upa and the ni means? Now in Sanskrit, upa means to approach. Approaching the truth. So what actually is indicating? That I somehow have developed an interest to know my real nature. That somehow I have heard from the scriptures that the world in which we are in is the projection of ignorance, and we are bound in ignorance. And this existence, which is bound in ignorance, can never give us ultimate fulfillment. For the need of joy, there is no one who doesn't need happiness. That's the common goal of each and every human being, that we all want happiness. The very beginning of the Sankhya Yoga, they indicate that what's the goal of human life? Atyantika dukkha nivritti. The annihilation of suffering totally. Atyantika. Atyantika means totally. And someone adds to it as parama sukha prapti. To get that eternal bliss, parama sukha, supreme bliss. So this is the common goal for each and every human being. And the scripture says that if you can go beyond the bondage of ignorance, the ignorance about our real nature, then you can get established in that truth, and that can bring you ultimate fulfillment in life. But how to get that knowledge? So I hear that there is such and such illumined soul who through his spiritual journey, through his spiritual practice, has attained enlightenment. Now, like any other science, here also this is a science, I approach him. Says upa means to approach. I approach the teacher, who is a realized soul, who is a paramparavid. Paramparavid means that there is a lineage. For the spiritual knowledge, there is a lineage. A man who has gone to the realization, he, out of compassion, instructs other in the science of spirituality. In course of time, a few among them also attain to that state of realization, and they pass on the knowledge, and succeedingly this knowledge passes on through generations. That is called parampara. So who is a guru? He must be a paramparavid. He must have acquired the knowledge through that lineage. And not only that, after attaining the knowledge, he must have attained realization. It must have enabled him to get established in that spiritual truth. His life should become a living documentary of the scriptures. So when you approach such a person, well, first thing what he does, so upa means approaching. He will be instructing you in the spiritual knowledge. And in the olden days, there was no press. There was no written material. It was all through Shruti, by hearing. That's why all the scriptures are called Shruti. The realized soul just verbally speaks out of his realization, speaks out the way, and that we hear, and after hearing, what we do? We cogitate upon that. Because at the very first hearing, it is not possible for us to understand it in totality. So, in our scriptures, they speak that in Vedanta, the spiritual journey they speak of as this process of Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Sravana. I approach the teacher, I hear from him the spiritual truth which has been spoken. Now, after hearing, two things can happen. That I am humble enough, I have sufficient shraddha, faith in the words of the Guru, in the scriptures. I have faith in my scriptures and in the word of the Guru. And I realize that I don't understand what has been spoken of clearly. But I am humble enough because of my shraddha, because of my faith, I am humble enough to accept the fact that my understanding is not up to it. What the Guru has spoken is not mere nonsense. If I think it's mere nonsense and reject it at the very beginning, there is no way that I can ever attain that knowledge. It's like any other knowledge. What to speak of spiritual knowledge? Even when we go to school, all the scientific truths which are spoken of even in the primary level, if we as a student start doubting them and just ask the teacher that unless you can prove it to me, all these laws of gravitation, all the so-called intrinsic laws of nature, unless you prove it to me, I won't believe in it. My education can never progress. At the beginning, I have to take them as a working hypothesis that yes, that there is a science behind it. My teacher is a representative of that science. He has also studied it. What he says must be true. And as I proceed in my academic education, as I go to the higher levels of academic education, then I get sufficient knowledge to understand the derivation of all those fundamental laws which has been spoken of to me even in the primary level. So what I did, there was a question of faith. I believed them to be true, and I proceeded in my academic journey to realize the truth through derivations much later. And when I'm in my higher graduate level or postgraduate level, then I start understanding the derivation of it. But at the beginning, I started with faith. So here also in the spiritual path, the faith is an important factor. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, that it is very difficult to get rid of superstition. In the modern days, the superstition is scientific superstition. What is that? That if you say Darwin has said such and such a thing, Newton has said such and such thing, immediately we swallow them even without a pinch of salt. That for food we know that you cannot take food without salt. It tastes bland. We have to add salt. So Swamiji is saying that this scientific, there's a science, in the modern day science, if it is told to the students that it is a scientist who have said such and such, that we don't need even that salt. We will just simply take it, accepting it to be true. But if someone says Patanjali has said it, Kapila Muni has said it, Vyasa has said it, immediately we start doubting. And Swamiji is saying, superstition, we cannot stay without it. If believing in what Vyasa has said, what Patanjali has said, what all these rishis have said, if we doubt them, we are supposed to doubt this. But we don't doubt that. We say this is superstition, that is science. But actually that is also superstition for me unless I really understand it. So Swamiji says this type of superstition, the materialistic superstition, can be more dangerous than the so-called spiritual superstition. Because this can ultimately take me to that ultimate truth. So here what they're trying to speak of this Shraddha. At the beginning, this approach means what? Upa means what? I go to my teacher who is a realized soul, I hear from him. That is Sravana. And then I accept the fact that my intellectual understanding is not up to it. What he is saying is true. Let me cogitate upon it. Let me try to intellectually reflect upon it. And that is this intellectually reflecting upon what we have heard, that is called manana. You are intellectually cogitating. And in the process it takes time, gradually, through these scriptural discussions, through reflections on it. It takes time. Gradually I find that my intellect is becoming clear. I do find what has been said in the scriptures do make sense. And now I develop intellectual conviction. So Upa means this too. Approaching the teacher and hearing from him, Sravana, and then mentally cogitating upon it, reflecting upon it, till I develop some intellectual conviction. But here our spiritual journey doesn't end. Most of us think that to have an intellectual conviction alone is spirituality. Swami Vivekananda in his lecture has made it very clear that in the name of spirituality, we at the most develop some intellectual sharpness and we get deluded thinking that we have evolved spiritually. But spiritual journey haven't yet started. After that, the real spiritual journey starts. So that that Upa is approaching. Sravana Manana speaks of that Upa. And then Ni means Nididhyasana. Meditating on your intellectual conviction till it becomes an established fact in your life. Your life becomes a living commentary of the scriptures. So this profound, sustained meditation on the truth heard from the scriptures and understood through the reasoning, you are meditating upon that until it becomes one's living experience. Swami Vivekananda used to give a very nice example. What's the example? The way the pearl is formed. He used to say that a particular type of mollusk, when it gets irritated by a sand particle, it along with that sand particle will dive deep into the bed of the river or of the ocean. And there it will start salivating over the irritant, that sand particle. It goes on salivating over it, and at last its own saliva, what it has actually salivated, there's its own secretion which has been salivated by this mollusk, that crystallizes, and that's what becomes pearl. So Swamiji says the entire spiritual journey is to get converted into that pearl. The Guru what has given is that irritant, that sand particle. And that's on that I have cogitated intellectually. And then my nididhyasana starts. I go on meditating upon my intellectual conviction till it transforms me. That it converts me to a pearl, to something valuable. Then I find that I have been transformed. That transformation actually doesn't speak of real transformation. It's actually regaining your lost kingdom. You forgot what you are. You again regain the awareness of your sovereignty. That I was never actually a limited being. I was ever free. Because of ignorance, I lost that knowledge. I get back through the process of nididhyasana. And then there is no question of getting deluded again. To understand this entire thing, what we were saying, let us resort to another example cited by Swami Vivekananda. He's saying that when I was a wandering monk, I was just traveling throughout the length and breadth of India, and at one point of time I was in the deserts of Rajasthan, and one day I was walking through the desert. I was thirsty. I was in search of water, and then I saw some water at a distance. I saw a huge reservoir. I started approaching towards it, but I found in no way I am nearing it. And suddenly it vanished. It was not there. And then I realized, oh, that's mirage. Now what he's saying is very important now. That till now, I read about mirage in the textbook. That is like Sravana. I tried to understand through visualization what mirage is. I came to a conclusion that I understand, I know what mirage is. This was an intellectual conviction. By reading the book, I came to that conviction, I know what mirage is. But for the first time, I experience it. Till now, I had the idea that I know what it is, but today I realize actually it was a mere intellectual knowledge. It didn't substantiate it into realization. Today it has substantiated into realization. And now it makes a difference. What's the difference? That again the next day I am walking through the deserts. Again I am thirsty. And again I do see a reservoir. Because as I am in my mind and senses, I do see it. But today it makes a big difference. What's the difference? Yesterday it dragged me towards it. Today it has lost the power of pull. It cannot drag me anymore. I know it's a mere projection. Just see, unless you have realized, just your intellectual knowledge cannot help you with this transformation of your character. It is impossible. And unless that happens, the so-called ignorance is still binding us. So that's why nididhyasana, taking us to the realization of the Vedantic truths, is the sanam and bonum of our spiritual journey. Unless it has happened, we are just still a novice in our spiritual journey. Swami Vivekananda used to speak of a stag. It's an allegory cited by Swami Vivekananda. That what generally our intellectualism is like, that we think we have understood. But actually when the crisis of life comes, we find our way we behave that shows I'm yet to understand the spiritual truth which has been spoken of in the scriptures. He says that one day a stag, a male deer, very well built, it was seeing its reflection in the reservoir. And seeing these muscular limbs, he was very proud of himself. And there was a fawn beside him, a young deer was beside him, and this stag was bragging. Just see how strong I am, how well built I am. And then suddenly, from a distance, the stag as well as the fawn heard the barking of a dog. And hearing the bark of a dog, the stag started running frantically. It was so scared, it was running frantically. After it ran for a long distance, it got exhausted. It was gasping for breath. It stopped. The fawn also ran after the stag. Now the fawn was very much surprised. He now asked, just now you were so confident about your strength, about your muscular limbs. What made you run so frantically? And the stag replied, I don't know what happens to my confidence the moment I hear the barking of a dog. So we can relate to this story. We read the scriptures. Nowadays it has become so easy. It's available online, it's available internet. You get books, printed books. It's all available. We read, and immediately we will find we develop as a tremendous enthusiasm. Oh, I understand that actually we are in ignorance. I am the self which nothing can affect. I am just the onlooker. The ups and downs of life means nothing to me. And with that type of conviction, I do feel elated. It's not bad, it's good. And then I start facing the world, and I will find in no time, the moment the ups and downs of life comes, I find that knowledge is in no way helping me. I get very much identified with the problems. I start reacting to it. What has happened? That knowledge in no way has become the part and parcel of my life. It's not a realized truth. It's just an intellectual conviction. So it doesn't help me in my day-to-day dealings with the challenges, with the crisis of life. So that's why in Vedanta, realization has been given the prime importance. Not mere intellectual conviction, not mere belief in the doctrines and dogmas, but to make the spiritual truth the be-all and end-all of our existence by going to a state of realization where the truth has become a part of my being. So now you will understand, when that happens, then that root sad means destruction or the loosening of ignorance. So when by approaching the teacher and resorting to Sravana Manana, I at last get an intellectual conviction, and with that I meditate on that conviction till it takes me to a realization. Then only it can lead to sad. Sad means that root, verbal root, destruction of your ignorance, or even if not destruction, at least loosening. I find that the ups and downs of life are still affecting me, but not affecting me the way it used to affect me. It has started loosening. I'm finding I can deal with them in a much more wise manner, in a much more calm, with much more poise. I can deal with those. And I do have that conviction. Yes, I'm progressing in my journey. In no time, a time will come when the ignorance will fall off, taking me to that ultimate realization. So this is the meaning of the word Upanishad. So all the Upanishads, the knowledge deals with that. The knowledge of the self, which by hearing, by trying to understand its meaning in its proper sense, reaching a state of intellectual conviction, and then meditating on your intellectual conviction till it takes you to the realization, so that it entails in the breaking of your bondage by the falling off of the ignorance, by the dissolving of the ignorance. So this is what the word Upanishad means. So now, as you found that each and every Upanishad has a particular Shanti mantra, the peace chant. And Isha Upanishad, the peace chant for the Isha Upanishad, just which we chanted, which we will be chanting before every class on Isha Upanishad, that is this Purnamada Purnamidam that we chanted just now. So let me just recite it once more before we try to understand its meaning. What's the mantra? Om Purnamada Purnam idam Purnat Purnam udachyate Purnasya Purnam adaya Purnam eva avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So here you will find the words are, as we were saying, after hearing, you find there is as if there is an apparent paradox. It makes no sense. As per our day-to-day empirical knowledge, this worldly knowledge is concerned, with that we find what has been said is in no way matching. And immediately there's a big question mark in our mind. So here then the process of manana comes, discussion, that let us try to understand that yes, it apparently appears as if it is making no sense, but as it has been spoken by the realized souls, all these mantras are the pronunciation of the rishis, which has been spoken out from the realization. So it must carry some truth. It must be carrying what he says, that there is some truth which I have to understand through the process of cogitation, mental cogitation. So what's the apparent meaning of it? The apparent meaning is Purnam Ada Purnam Idam. That is full. Ada means that. That we always have an idea that the highest spiritual truth is transcendent. The God, in all the religions will have that idea, God sitting in heaven, beyond this phenomenal existence. So by that means something, the ultimate truth from whom this world has emanated, has been created. That is Ada. So that is full. That is full. Full means it has no limitation. Purna. Purna Mada. Purna Mada. Ada. That is full. And the next is Purnam Idam. Now what I see as in the form of this universe with my senses, what I am seeing, this Jagat, this also is full. And then what it is saying, from that full, this full emerges. Purnat Purna Mudachyate. Now this again that we will find is very difficult to understand. Suppose a jar is full of water and there is an empty jar. I pour this water in that empty jar, then what happens? The jar which was full of water, that is going to get empty. That is bound to get empty. The other jar will get full. But here what he is saying, from this full, that full emerges, it's okay. Immediately that idea will come, oh, then the previous jar must be empty and this jar is now full. But what they are saying is very interesting after that. Taking the full from the full. Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. That I have poured this water which was full, this jar which was full of water, from this I have poured into the other jar. So from this it has been poured there. So one must be empty, other must be full, but they are saying no. That taking the full from the full alone remains. Still it is full. This is full, this is full. And again when I pour it back, still the full only remains. Just to say that what it is saying is, infinite minus infinite is also infinite. Infinite plus infinite is also infinite. So with our so-called material knowledge, it becomes very difficult to understand what it is speaking of. So here, in Vedanta, two vadas, two theories have been propounded. What are these two theories? One is called Parinamavada and other is Adhyasavada. What it means? Parinama. Parinama is transformation. So we all say, from the God emanated this universe. He is the creator. And whenever there is a question of creation, we think that most probably he has some material with which he has, just the way a potter makes pot from the clay. This universe has come out just like a pot with some elementary material like clay. So it is a transformation. The clay has got transformed into pot, or just the milk has got transformed into yogurt. That is parinama. But if I think of parinama, real transformation, then this mantra doesn't make any sense. This Shanti mantra makes no sense. Because when the milk has become yogurt, milk is no more there. It is all yogurt. And again, when the yogurt is no more there, I don't get the milk again. Then what it means that from the full came the full, and after this becoming full, the full still remains. And when this full is again merges in that full, the full again remains. It remains as it is. So there is another Vada theory that is called Adhyasa Vada. The theory of superimposition. That will make this mantra very clear. What it speaks of? That something is superimposed upon something. To give the idea of superimposition, that's a very common example in Vedanta they give, that in the twilight hours, I was passing through a road, and most probably there was a crack in the ground, or most probably there was a rope lying there, whatever it may be. And because of lack of light, from a distance I look at it, and the rope appears to be a snake. And now I ask someone, oh, there is a snake, don't proceed. And the other person, he brings a torch, as it is dark, to see what it is actually. He brings a torch, from a distance he focuses, and then he says, oh, it's just a rope, or it's just a crack in the ground. And then I understand, oh, the snake is not there. It is just a rope. So here, in this example, we will find a very interesting thing. That as long as I was deluded, this was true. That snake was true as long as I was deluded. Why it was true? Because at that time I was not seeing the rope at all. I was fully convinced that it is a snake. We never see the snake and the rope at the same time. We can never see. When I am seeing the snake, I don't see the rope. I am seeing the snake alone. And when someone brings the torch, focuses on it, now again I am seeing the rope. The snake has vanished. Now you take this, if I take the rope to be something full, means it is a unit. From this snake came. This is another unit, which also is full. From this rope, this snake has emanated. It's a fact. Now, when it has emanated, has the rope vanished? No, it is still there. It's a mere projection. The rope is still there. Though I am not seeing it, I am seeing the snake, but the rope is still there. And when again the ignorance falls off, someone brings the torch, focuses the light, the ignorance falls off. The snake has vanished now. Where it has gone? Again to that full, to that rope and rope alone. So with the Adhyasavada, with this Adhyasavada, now I can understand the meaning of this Shanti mantra. What it is saying? That the ultimate reality as such has not been transformed. It is as it is. Because of ignorance. How it has happened, we don't know. And that's why we are calling it as ignorance. Because of ignorance, it is being projected as the snake. When it is being projected as a snake, has the rope vanished? No, it is still there. So from this Purna has came. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam eva avashishyate. And when again, because of avashishyate, what happens? When again my ignorance falls off, that is, with the light I focus, and now I don't see the snake at all, the rope remains. So Purnam eva avashishyate, it remains. So now you will find in Vedanta, all these theories, through reasoning, gradually they have developed these ideas to come to the idea that what this mantra actually means. This is very interesting. One thing we should understand here, what we are doing, that this mantra actually speaks of realization. The rishis, after realizing, is speaking of that. We as a human being don't have the same fund of realization. What the rishis have realized, I'm yet to realize. So when we don't have the same realization, the language becomes confusing. When I say the flower is red, you also accept the flower is red because we both have seen the red flower. But if I say something which, as the one who have not realized, I'm speaking to him, he has not realized, then the language becomes incongruous. It is impossible with the language to explain. What the Upanishad is doing, what all these theories are doing, is just to give a vague idea. Because there are many other connotations may come with the reasoning. We may just say that it is rubbish. We may throw it out by saying, when you see the snake, that speaks of that you must have the knowledge of snake. You have seen the snake. So how come only the rope is there? Yes, snake immediately is not there. The idea of snake is there. So all these ideas we bring in. But we forget. The rishi who have realized, he is speaking of a realization which I don't have. I, with Shraddha, am trying to understand it to get an idea. So when I am using an upama means some comparison, I cannot take the upama to be the thing itself. It is not the thing. A particular aspect of the upama is trying to explain the fact which I'm yet to realize. So we shouldn't bring all those arguments to say it is false. We are just trying to understand that what actually it means. That because of ignorance, the things which are being projected, this is an illusion. When I go to the realization, this illusion falls off. I go to that ultimate realization, finding that actually nothing has changed. Parinamavada Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta denies at the very outright, because if God has become the creation, then God is not perfect. Why he is not perfect? Because he is also going through the process of transformation like any other thing in the world. If he is going through that, like we go through the Shada Vikara, 6 type of changes, which is in Vedanta they speak of, that just see our own life. We were born, Jayate, Asti, we exist for a certain period of time. Vardhate, at the very beginning we grow, and then we parinamate. After some middle age, transformation process starts, and then apakshiyate, the process of decay starts, and then nasti, destruction. With my own psychophysical existence, that is true. With any entity in this world, any entity, even a so-called inanimate rock, you will find this is true. By some process, it came into existence. It will be existing for some point of time. The huge Himalayas, it grows. At certain point of time, there will be the stop of it, the growth will stop. And then again, the same, where the mountains are there will be ocean. You will be amazed to know that in the Himalayas, you get the fossils of creatures which were in the ocean, which speaks what? This entire Himalaya, because of the tectonic movements, the two tectons have collided and resulting in the emergence of the mountain, and it is still emerging. All the various plates, tectonic plates, they're constantly moving, constantly changing the total, our landscapes, the geography totally is changing. In millions of years, it is going on changing. Where today is the ocean bed, tomorrow it can be the highest mountain. Again, it will be in the ocean bed. Constantly this change is happening. So what it speaks, the 6 Shada Vikara, anything I see in this universe, it applies to that. Now, if I say that from God, the creation has came out through the process of transformation, then the same thing I'm applying to God also. So that's what Vedanta says, that transformation, in God there cannot be any transformation. Because of ignorance, it is appearing, the thing which is a constant factor, which is Trikal Avadhita Satya, which was, which is, which will be, is an eternal fact of life. that is appearing as if going through the changes. So that's the idea behind this Shanti Mantra. That itself speaks of the idea which will be spoken of in the Upanishads in details through various ways to bring to our mind the fact that after all the real me is unchanging. Nothing can affect it. My body, my senses, everything is just a flow. The idea of Vedanta is to make me, at present, I am one with the flow. I am being submerged in the flow. Sometimes this flow, as the tide taking me up, I'm in ecstasy, and again it is taking me to the ebb of the wave. I am in despairing. I have got identified with it. Vedanta is trying, what it is trying, to make me come out of this flow, to sit on the bank and observe this flow in the form of body, mind, senses, the world, everything is going on. But the real me is not affected. Sitting on the bank, just observing the change, and that way not reacting, knowing the real me is not affected. That is the Trikal Avadhita Satya. That was, that is, that will be without any change. That's why the ultimate reality is called Purana Purusha. We hear this word Purana, Purana, Purana. What does Purana means? Pura api navaiva. Ever aging, never old. You will find, if you ask a child, draw the picture of God, immediately he will draw the picture of God as an old man with white beard. That's the preliminary idea. Even for us, even Hinduism, we find Brahma is everything with that white beard. Even you will find the same thing in Christianity. If you ask the God with this white beard, someone will be drawing. What's the idea? As he is the one who is the Adi Purusha, he is the one who is from the very beginning of creation, he must be old. So here, this word Purana negates that fact. Pura api navaiva. Though he is old, still he is new. Nava means new. Pura api navaiva. That's what's the meaning of the word Purana. Pura api navaiva. Means ever aging, never old. He is in the eternal present without any transformation. If there is transformation, then God is also becomes just like any other being. He is limited. So Pura api navaiva. This is a Purana Purusha. That you are that, just sitting on the bank of this flow called this life, samsara. This world, this universe is called samsara. Why it is called samsara? Samsarate iti samsara. That which is flowing. Samsarate means that which is flowing. Everything is flowing. Nothing is constant. In that samsara, beyond that, there is an observer. He is the one. He is not changing. He is observing. And you are that observer. To get established in that, this Upanishad, like the mother, that's the way the mother cajoles the child, sometimes by scolding, sometimes by just giving him some some lollipop, that you will find that to make the child do something, the mother will be sometimes tempting him, luring him. So here also you will find in the Upanishads there are some prescriptions which will speak that you get such and such thing. But ultimately, you'll find the Upanishad by warning us, by scolding us, or by trying to cajole us in so many ways, just like a mother, it is trying to bring the child back home to his eternal existence. He somehow is in ignorance. And he has lost nothing, just is in ignorance. To break his ignorance and again bring him back to what he is. This entire life is just like a nightmare. That in the dream we are seeing so many things, we get nightmare and the dream breaks, and what we feel? Oh, nothing has changed. I am what I am. All these things were just a dream. So that's what spiritual realization is. We feel at last, I was going through a long dream for lives, and the dream has ended. The dream can delude me no more. I am now have realized that. These are all mere projections. And that's what this Shanti Mantra is speaking of, which again will be spoken of in details in all the Upanishads, including the Isha Upanishad, as we proceed to the mantras, we will find that's what it is discussing. Now this Isha Upanishad, just before we start the discussion, as an introduction to the Isha Upanishad, just let us have an idea of what this Upanishad is. So this Upanishad is one of the shortest yet most profound Upanishads. Very short, it has just 18 mantras. It forms a part of the 40th chapter of the Vajasanai Samhita of Shukla Yajur Veda. Now all these terms it's just some technical terms to us. The Samhita, this Veda, Samhita, mantra. What actually they mean? All the words are very interesting. The word Veda, first let us take the word Veda. Veda came from Vid Dhatu. Vid means to know. So, the Vedas means the source of knowledge, the encyclopedia of knowledge. So from Vid Dhatu it came. It's an encyclopedia of knowledge, Veda. So, and it is mentioned in our Vedas that who is the author of the Vedas? They say it is Apaurushaya. There is no author. No Purusha has written it. No Apaurushaya. What it means? So this Vedanta, let's just see how it was matured enough thousands of years back to acknowledge the fact that knowledge can never be patented. As Swami Vivekananda is giving a very nice example, that we say Newton discovered gravitation. Was gravitation not there before Newton? It was there. What he did? He discovered it. There was a covering over that knowledge. Discover means to remove that covering. Discover, remove the cover. The knowledge was there. So the knowledge, no one can patent by saying I am the author of this knowledge. It was there. I should be humble enough to accept the fact this was there. There was an ignorance over it. It has been removed. So these Vedas are full of that knowledge, and the rishis who discovered through their spiritual realization have removed the covering of the truth, and they were humble enough to state that they are not the author. It was there. They are all Apaurushaya. They have just it has just been revealed through him. So that's why they are called. So this, what you say, Apaurushaya. And who are these rishis? Now the word mantra comes into existence. They are the mantra drashta. These truths were there. These truths, when through your mental cogitation you come to that truth, the truth gets revealed. And that's how you come out of ignorance. And it saves you from all the delusions that results from ignorance. So mananat trayate iti mantra. Just by your cogitation, when you come to the realization, now it saves you from the delusion. That's why they are called mantras. So all these rishis, they discovered these mantras. So that we can also, by cogitating on that, go to that same realization and get rid of the bondage of ignorance. Manana trayate. Now, what is Samhita? The collection of these mantras. Just nowadays, you know that suppose, let us take Rabindranath Tagore. He has written so many poems. These poems are also like revelations, you will find. That he also is like a rishi, is revealing all the truths which is being revealed. So now these poems, when he is collecting together in a book form, like the Gitanjali, that is what Samhita means. That's what you say, this collection. Samhita means collection. The collection of these mantras. Just like all the songs composed by Rabindranath, he collects it in the Gitanjali. We can say the Gitanjali is a Samhita. Then comes the Brahmana. These are all parts of the Vedas. We just read, but we don't understand the real meaning. The real meaning is very simple. Mantras are the revelations. Samhita speaks of the collection of all those revelations. And then comes Brahmana. What is the Brahmana? Now this collection, this book I use for some ritualistic worship. Now when I am doing some ritualistic worship, I develop some emotions, devotional emotions I develop. But I, as an ordinary being, do not have the language to express it. So what I do, I resort. Like when I am feeling ecstatic, just by going out in the nature, somehow I also feel that there must be a divine being behind this nature. I feel ecstatic, but I have no words to express it. What I do, I go and open the Gitanjali and find some song which substantiates my feeling, and immediately I start singing that song. The ritualistic worships are also like that. That when you are trying to relate to the divine through some rituals, all the emotions which are being evoked, for which as a general ordinary being we don't have language. So we go to the Samhita, collect those mantras from the Samhita and use them for our ritualistic worship. So this ritualistic worship, where the entire process is interspersed with these mantras collected from the Samhitas, that are called the Brahmanas. So the process of the ritualistic worship is described there. Now those who do ritualistic worship, it's a very common experience for them all. That I have done it for many years. Now I have developed a particular aptitude for the ritualistic worship. What? I myself need not have to do it. I go to a temple, I see a priest sitting and doing that ritualistic worship. Others don't know the intricacies of it, but I know. Just by seeing it, mentally I am recapitulating the entire process. In my vision, when he is repeating the mantras he is doing, so what I am doing, in my mind, the entire process of relating to the divine through this ritualistic worship is going on. This process of mentally recapitulating the entire thing, this has been described in the Aranyakas. So just see how you're evolving. With the help of mantras, first it came in the form of Samhitas. From the Samhitas I have used the mantras for my ritualistic worship. As I become more and more adept in that ritualistic worship, to do it physically is no more required. I just sit and visualize. Oh, I am now offering such and such thing to the divine. In my mind I am doing Manas Puja. That is being called Upasana. All these Upasanas, this collection is in the Aranyaka. So now you will find you have already started evolving. And then, because you are purifying your mind through all this process, at last it can take you to that highest spiritual revelation. And then comes the Upanishad. This is called the Vedanta, the culmination of the Veda. Through this process of Karma Kanda, if you have used it not just for getting some mere gains for worldly life, if I have used them for my inner purification, for Chitta Shuddhi, they can take me to a state where my mind has become sufficiently pure, where the truth is being reflected, the truth is revealed. And then comes these Upanishads, where these highest truths have got revealed. So this, you will find there is a wonderful process which has been indicated in the Vedas. And these all terms indicate to that. This mantra, Samhita, Brahmana, then comes Aranyaka and then the Upanishads. So this Upanishad, now you will understand where that it is from a particular Samhita, Vajasanahi Samhita. This collection is from that. So someone went to the realization to substantiate his realization from this Samhita, that you find these mantras are coming out and this being expressed as the Isha Upanishad. So the place of the Upanishad is where? It is one of the very old, this Upanishad, which language says so. It's in the 40th chapter of the Vajasanahi Samhita, which is in the Shukla Yajur Veda. So despite its shortness, it's very brief, it's very short. It actually gives a complete spiritual philosophy by uniting some apparent paradoxes. You will find they speak, when in the first mantra they will speak of Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita, that we have the idea that renunciation is something, the austerity is something negative. It is something which speaks of forsaking the joys of life. But there they are saying, you protect yourself through renunciation. Bhunjita has two meanings, protect and enjoy. You enjoy through renunciation. So Isha Upanishad is full of these paradoxes. What it actually means to enjoy through renunciation. And then they're saying, everywhere they say that we have to get rid of ignorance to get established in knowledge. Ignorance is avidya. and the ultimate wisdom is Vidya. Here in Isha Upanishad they will say you have to combine these two. What actually it means? Sambhuti, asambhuti. Sambhuti means samyak rupe bhuta. Means that is always there. The ultimate reality. It is a trikal avadita satya. It was, it is, it will be. Asambhuti. That is there for the time being. Because of ignorance, I see the world projected from the ultimate reality. When the ignorance falls off, Lord alone is there. The universe has merged in the divine. So its existence is just for the time being. That's why it is asambhuti. So generally we have the idea we have to relinquish this phenomenal existence to get established in the absolute. But in Isha Upanishad, they will speak of synthesizing these two. What actually it is meaning. So these are the paradoxes which has to be resolved, and for that resolution, we will resort to the one of Swami Vivekananda's famous lecture. It is God in Everything. It's a wonderful lecture, which actually is a running commentary on the Isha Upanishad. And there we will find it is actually quite different from even the Shankar Bhashya. That though Shankaracharya has written on it, it's not exactly the same. So we will try to point out the difference between these two commentary to find out that how Swami Vivekananda, following the lines of Ramakrishna, where Ramakrishna stressed that jnana is not the ultimate, vijnana, the state of vijnana, that after realization, when you come down from the realization, you again see this world, but the world has transformed. It has no more the world of name and forms. It is the divine alone. The divine is interspersing the entire universe. And when you see that, your behavioral pattern changes and you become an exemplification for others to be followed. So this state of vijnana has been actually depicted in this Isha Upanishad. It has 18 verses. Many say that it is actually a commentary it's actually based on which the entire Bhagavad Gita has been composed. In Bhagavad Gita there are 18 chapters. In Isha Upanishad there are 18 mantras. They say these 18, each mantra, each chapter of Bhagavad Gita is actually an elucidation of each of these mantras. So it has a very high regard in our spiritual tradition, this Isha Upanishad, though it is just 18 mantras. Mahatma Gandhi used to say a very interesting thing, that the very first mantra of the Isha Upanishad, if that alone remains, if all the scriptures of Hinduism gets destroyed, he said that one mantra alone is sufficient to again revive the entire Hinduism. That powerful it is, that poignant it is. The entire philosophy is hidden in that very first mantra. So as we proceed in our study of the Isha Upanishad, today just we had an introduction, a very vague idea what we are going to study. As we proceed, we will find what a wonderful Upanishad this is, this Isha Upanishad. You will find, just to give a hint, that those who are the followers of the Bhakti Marga, they generally study the Smriti Shastras, the Bhagavatam, these are the Smriti Shastras. They don't give that much importance to the Shruti, these so-called the Upanishads. But Isha Upanishad, that's we find, is there's an Upanishad which is universal. Even the Bhaktas find relevance in it. Even the Jnana Margis find relevance on it. So that way it's a very, very universal Upanishad. And why it is so? As we study the Upanishad, we will find that why it is so, that the way it has approached the truth is something very, very unique as compared to the other Upanishads. So as we proceed in our journey in the study of Isha Upanishad, for which we will resort heavily to the commentary of Swami Vivekananda as has been related by him in his lecture, the God in Everything. It's in the Jnana Yoga. So resorting to that lecture, we will try to enunciate. Though we will bring into comparison the other commentaries too, especially the Shankar Bhashya, to find the contrast between the two, and so that our, the knowledge of the Upanishad becomes more clear, where we will resort to the study as we gradually progress in the study of this Isha Upanishad. So with this introduction, we would like to conclude today. So welcome you all to the study of the Upanishads and hope to meet you all again in the next class. So thank you all. Namaskar.